Hi, and a very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. My name is Marisha, and I'm the CEO at the Wedding School, welcoming you on a special day because it's a Friday, the day when we get the opportunity to interact with you, the day we get the opportunity to tell you what it means to be a part of this crazy industry called the Indian wedding industry. The day when we get to share information about our new courses and also try to answer and have a fun conversation with all of you as we all have one funda in common, which is our love for weddings. Today, I come to you in the capacity of somebody who has always believed that a wedding is just not an event. And I have totally believed in this, I think, from the time that we started our wedding planning company, Swaha. What I think has always clicked with my clients is the fact that a lot of things that planners, I see them talking about today, is something that we had believed and chased for the longest time, even when it was not known to the client. A lot of times businesses get influenced by the customer demand, right? I think I belong to a space where I have let my vision and my conviction lead the path and not the customer's demand. It's a different thing that later that became the customer's demand, and today now everyone is seeming to presumably, kind of sharing the same path, as one would call it. So I belong to a space where for me weddings was always about emotions. I belong to the space where I was very clear that if we are doing a wedding, it has to be larger than life and it has to be unapologetic. And I think that's what I see today. The shades may have changed. The pinks and maroons and reds have moved to pastels. However, the desire to get noticed remains the same of a client. The desire to make a statement, and now the desire is to make your pretty moment trending, And all of this brings us to the very critical part where we see more and more as days go by that there is a crazy relation, an interconnection, as I would like to call it, between what one sees on the big screen, which is movies, and what one experiences in real life, which is social celebrations, weddings in particular. So as you all know, that's really our theme also for this year, which is Theatre of Dreams, where weddings become like movies and movies become like weddings. We have been having an interesting debate on this in the last few lives, where everyone has a different opinion on like the chicken and egg situation, that who has inspired whom. Is it weddings that inspire filmmakers, or is it filmmakers glorifying every moment and every ritual that influences a bride and groom? So I think this year is literally about that, and I'm so glad. It's weird in life that when you start thinking about something and imagining it and you start working on it, at least, I don't know if that's happened with you all, but it happens too much with me that I actually see those things coming to life around me. So while we worked on this concept with great honesty, and we've been on this since I think the month of January, when we thought that let's do something that is connecting these 2 points, and then took 3 months. We are genuinely a production house in that sense. If I have to talk the movie language, we are a production house who believes in the pre-prep, and 3 months of preparation to work on something which is just a theme for an Instagram account is how possibly somebody could look at it. But for us, it is a statement. It's like a fashion designer and the collection, the spring collection that one comes up with. They work on it for more than a year, right? They already know what they want to announce in 2025. So this was literally one of those. And what a coincidence that I think about 2 weeks back, I see a very interesting film called Murder Mystery 2. I think it's on Netflix. You guys must see it, especially the first 15-20 minutes. You will actually think that some big time Indian producer or some Indian has pumped in money, because the entire premise of the film is based against the backdrop of a Indian groom getting married to a European girl, and how the guests, who are comical detectives, as one would call them, they get into trouble and da 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 da. So you have a fun conversation, and you have the Indian wedding drama that's getting projected on the big screen in Hollywood. So what are we talking about Bollywood and Indian movies being inspired by real life? You have this bride from, I think they've shown her that she's based out of France, and she tells the guest, which is Jennifer Aniston, that I'm so excited for the Sangeet and the entry. They've used the word entrance by mistake, I think. It's okay, happens. But they talk about it, and the groom actually comes on an elephant. Then, of course, there's a mystery and a supposed kidnapping, etc., and the typical drama. But everything is about this. They've shown the welcome into the hotel. They've shown how the hotel room is, how the host has graciously decided to gift clothes to their guests, how there is henna that's being put for the guests, and the kind of food that's around. Oh my God, they have recreated an Indian wedding in the true sense. And I felt so good here. We're talking about Theatre of Dreams at TWS and wedding planning and design decor courses, which are movie-like teachings that we're going to give you. And here you have a movie that's actually depicting the great Indian wedding. So I felt really good about it. Not that, I know a lot of us will argue that why do we need the West to put a stamp on us? It's not that. I love acknowledgement. I love recognition. And for me, as an industry member, this becomes a very exciting moment, to say the least, where for those, clearly it's a very relatable topic for them to feature it as a premise for the film. And for those who didn't know about it, will know about it now. So in both ways, I find it superbly exciting that they think that this could add up to whatever storytelling narrative that they have for their film. So I want to say hi to everyone. Kushal, I called you actually to wish you. Then my second call to you was because I want to discuss some work. But the back and forth happened so much. So then I thought, chalo, sham ko call karenge after the Insta live. So you've been inspiring all of us. I really hope so, Kushal. And I really hope that no matter how much, exhaustion I may have caused, a lot of people while we worked as a team, I really think it was for the good. And I think something great comes out of overworking yourself at most times. And I love the fact that you're so passionate and you've taken, what one will call as the best practices. And I see you putting that to great use. So I'm very, very proud of you. And I can only wish you all the best for everything that you venture into. And one part which I was always worried about was that you will race and rush into wanting to make a success story out of your life. And I'm so glad to see the way you conduct yourself. You are, the rush can be internal, but on the face of it, I see a sense of contentment, and I see consistent pace, which I feel is very important as an entrepreneur. Especially, I feel you guys have come into this business at a time when there are just way too many players, and anyone can show anything on Instagram and get away with it. While people like us, it was genuinely word of mouth that worked, and what you delivered would get spoken about, and you didn't have reels to only show the best 10 seconds of a wedding. So you guys are in a far more competitive space where everything can be very easily played off in favor. So it has its own advantages, like I'm able to talk to most of you because of that. But the bigger disadvantage is as a business runner. And I always feel it's a very unfair space a lot of times for some very, very great amount of talent and great working that I see so many people doing. but just because it's not showcased the right way, it is less known of. So both things are absolutely important. It's just like a movie. See, I keep coming back to the point, because honestly, no matter how great a film you make, don't you feel there's so many times when we watch a lot of movies on OTT just because we're getting bored, and then we just see something and we watch it, and then we're like, dude, that was actually a good film, and why didn't anyone speak about it? So in a way, it's important to get your work noticed. And that's where the whole marketing game really, really plays an important role. And today, weddings is about that, right? You actually have agencies who get hired only to cover the wedding in a certain way, only to showcase the work of a planner or a bride who wants to get that moment of limelight. And there is actually a commercial story and angle to it. It's not that something has just become viral because the bride was pretty. No. There is a lot of money also that gets pumped into it, which hardly gets known of. So these are a lot of realities where I see movie making as a structure, and wedding planning and the wedding industry style of functioning today, where I see them completely intertwined and very, very similar. You guys have to check out our post after this live, and check it out for the reasons that we actually, when we started working on this, we realized that everything that goes into making a film is exactly what we have while making a wedding, right from the wedding song to the director of photography, to a set art director, set designer, costume, location scouting. In our case, it is more to do with a DMC that comes into play. So there are so many similar angles because both of these need to look picture perfect. That's a mandate. There is no escaping that. And that's why we decided to come up with this whole thought where it immediately resonates. And the youngsters definitely identify with this kind of a comparison. And for us, of course, the director's seat is well deserved and definitely taken by a wedding planner who, just like a movie director, has to put so many aspects together. I hate it when a client belittles a planner, and so many planners, I feel, from smaller cities, they kind of belittle their work because they have a good connection and the right clientele. You will not believe they end up talking things like, "Hame karna kya hai?" It's so easy. I want to be a wedding planner because it's only about getting people together. And when they get into the industries, when they realize, aisa kuch bhi nahi hai, mere dost, bahut zyada mehnat karni padti hai. Lot of egos to be managed, lot of time management, lot of budget management, lot of resourceful orientation is required. You cannot just rely on a client and his Google search and Pinterest pictures. There is a practical side. It's like showing someone the mirror. That's the job of a wedding planner today. It's about also emotionally managing family members, because there are egos and there are conversations, and then there is societal pressure now, which keeps coming up in a very big way. So I feel like a movie director, the wedding planner is that one person who calls the shots eventually. And you will see so many films where a lot of times the DOP is more experienced than the director. The costume designer has been around for a longer time and is definitely more famous. The stars, of course, goes without saying, other popular ones. But at the end, everyone follows the vision of a director. And that's exactly the biggest kick I think I get as a wedding planner, is eventually it's your shots. No matter how much a client may try to close a vendor, he may assume that he has saved some money, and God bless the clients who do it. I have no problem with that. I really think that was always, for me as Swaha also, a very small part of our deliverables as an agency. Thus, when that entire phase came into our industry where clients started booking vendors directly, I never had an issue with that. My only issue was when the quality would drop. when a client would try to save money in order to, get so-called benefit, not realizing that the quality is dropping. So in that sense, I still feel the control and the sense of direction, vision is still governed by a wedding planner. And for me, every wedding is like a movie. Even when a family very humbly says we don't want to make a big fuss, we want to keep it simple, I still feel every single moment needs to be created like it's a film shot, because there is a photographer, videographer team that's hoping to get some great output out of it. They're hoping to make a great after film. And that film, when it gets watched year on year, that's the time the family remembers every single soul who worked on that particular project, in this case, their wedding. So for me, I don't take that aspect lightly. And I think as an ethos, that's what we've tried to bring forward with the wedding school. And I think relevance is key, guys. With changing times, you have to change the flavor. Last year, we had a nice thought of, wanting to focus on the multitasking angle. We were all reviving from COVID, and there was a great expectation from a client that they will have lean teams working on their projects and they will want miracles out of it. So our focus and our orientation towards our students was on those lines. This time, we know the industry has bounced back. Everyone's doing great amount of work. Now what? Now is the time for us to understand the importance of what is getting showcased, because that is eventually going on records. So it's a very, very important part. And I don't feel that it's only a novice, somebody who's just a regular aspirant who needs to learn this. I do believe that our courses help a lot of existing players. And last year as well, we've had a couple of students who are already into events. One of them already was into the space of weddings. One was into the event space. One was an interior designer. So, I don't think one should stop learning, and one must make the most of every single opportunity to grow their skills, to stay updated. And for me, my competition in the real sense, I love to, I'll not call it competition, but I'd like to say that I like to stay up in my game. And the only way you can do that is not have an ego about trying to connect and relate to the next 21-year-old who walks into your office for a job, the next 21-year-old who enrolls for a course with me. Because there's a bundle of ideas, thoughts, creativity. You're getting a chance to mold them, which is exciting. And I'm getting a chance to connect with the younger generation. Not that I'm too old, but every year is a year lived, right? So you don't want to seem mundane. You want to keep that live fire in you alive. And for me, youngsters are my biggest source for that. समडी सिंह आप हिंदी में बोलिए. मैं हिंदी में भी बात करती हूँ. Somehow ज़्यादा लोगों को मेरा लाइव इंग्लिश में पसंद आता है, but no worries, मैं आपके साथ हिंदी में बात कर लूँगी. I love you too, Kushal. And I'm waving back to everyone here. Thank you for joining in. Tell me one movie that you feel is inspired from weddings, or an incident where somebody may have asked you to replicate something. I have had so many of these situations where a bride may have seen something, either an outfit or a decor or some kind of a moment that got created in a film, and then they wanted to recreate it for their own wedding. I think for me that's been a constant that I've seen with most young brides. How many times are we actually able to make that happen and come true is a big question. A lot of times it's subject to the location you're in. A lot of times it's subject to the budget. A lot of times it's subject to, is it involving the 200, 300 people who are there? Kushal is writing, I wish we had TW back in 2012. I know exactly what you're saying. honestly, I also feel that so many times, where I do feel that even today, when I see so many of my employees, and we're constantly talking to other wedding planners who are looking for newer talent, and I do realize that there's such a huge vacuum even today for employees. Where do they go and improve their skill set? How does an entrepreneur learn more in order to be able to implement something in a better way? So there is so much that still needs to be done. And probably the day I'll totally be wanting to put up my feet and not run on the floor anymore, trying to get a setup done on time, would possibly be the time. I know of me and my director, Usha ma'am, we are constantly working on new modules, and we keep preparing new modules, and when we're about to announce it, there's something that comes up, and then I'm like, okay, we'll have to delay it. So I do feel very strongly that there's a lot of training that is required, a lot of improvement that we can actually help young entrepreneurs with, even established entrepreneurs. I don't think there is any end to learning. And I really wish that I'm able to bring that alive through the wedding school. One big opportunity that I have always felt that, it's a way to give back to the society, which I feel is the best thing to happen. You learn from my mistakes, you learn from my experiences. And when I'm saying I'm referring to the 30 plus faculty members who come from different walks of life with different expertise, come from different cities. And I think that itself is for me such a big win-win, because wedding celebration can be universal, but the way it is approached is not the same. It's so vast. This country is insanely vast. Too much of dynamics that come into play. And I think one has to be open to really adapting themselves to the region that they want to belong to or they want to go and work in. And for me, the dynamics come into play with the entire flow of faculty that comes in with their expertise. So this year we are hoping to make all our students, empower them in a way that they are going to be able to think differently. This year we are also changing the curriculum to a great extent in order to incorporate this new demand. And it's not like I'm going to teach them 10 new ideas, because that won't be fair, because if all 50-60 students go out with the same idea, we're back to square one. It's about opening their minds. It's about them not getting influenced and lazy because Instagram and Pinterest is available. It's about them exploring something from deep within and getting inspired by movies. And when I say movies, I'm actually referring to the entire global cinema that we all are very lucky to have got exposure to, thanks to various OTT platforms. And I think we can this year try to achieve to make that reasonable to good use, I'd say, and try and see where it could take us. I definitely tried doing something like that in one of our projects with the team in the month of Jan. And I realized that it was a very beautiful thin line that one could cross over, where you are taking inspiration from something that you have seen from one of the international shows, but you adapt and use your brain. Don't copy paste. Use your brain, adapt it in a certain way. Just draw inspiration from a thought, because everyone needs a trigger, right? You just don't come up with a miraculous thought, because there is, in that sense, no originality. Everything has come up from a thought or a reference that one has come across. So, but being able to then adapt, put it to good use, is something that we want to focus on teaching, because I really feel that the students every year seem to get more and more mature. Before they have entered the class, they already know a lot. So we want to now take them to their next one. Jinal is here. Hi, Jinal. I'm so glad that you are with us on the Design Decor course. And I just want you to, one quick friendly mentor advice to you: do not overthink, okay? This time around, just play it easy. Do not overthink. Life is good and no one's life is perfect. And I would hate to have perfection in my life. While I strive perfection at work, even just now, I okayed a creative just before we got onto the Insta live. And I knew I'm not liking something, but I had already given so many changes to make something perfect that I was like, ab bas. Ab I have to stop myself because it's just going to drive the other person crazy. So don't chase that perfection, that equilibrium should come into your life. No, just live your life with the ups and downs, and just be very graceful about it. I was just expressing to a friend of mine some time back that, I do tend to get exhausted, for example, with a lot of follow-ups that are required. And my friend told me that if it is your strength, why do you complain? Why don't you do it with a smile, knowing that you have this special ability to be able to multitask? So don't crib, and just go on and do it right. And do it knowing that there is no other option, so why crib? And I think that's really important. So when you are getting into a space where you're trying to balance your professional and personal life, do it with the full knowledge that it's not going to be easy, but you can't keep thinking and bothering yourself with it. Just live it, because you know that there are millions of others who are going through a similar situation, and one has to make the most of it. So that's really what it is, and that's exactly what, in fact, even movies teach us, don't they? There's so much of an effort. I can't even imagine what an actor, what an artist, what a director or a producer may go through when the film doesn't meet the commercial expectation they had, but they have to move on to their next. They're hardly given a time to sit and sulk. So it is clearly very, very difficult. Sharon is here. Hi, Sharon. Movie name. Yeah. Sharon's already put up for you, Kushal. Sharon, you also watch it over the weekend. It's a nice one. I think for me, a lot of, inspiration has been alive. I think if you go and see our track record in the last few years, consistently, I would say 80% of our films have one wedding situation somehow plugged in. I think almost like a 99% of television serials end up having a celebration, kisi ki anniversary, kisi ka birthday, kisi ki shadi, and then they will immediately use the film songs to create that romantic moment. And then you will have some bride somewhere in India who is inspired and thus is dreaming that that's what my wedding is going to look like. So it's just magical, but it is the fact that it's all kind of coming around. I think it's fun. What one really needs to do is just make sure you're not making a regular film the next time you get a chance to design or plan a wedding. Just make sure that you have a reason to talk about that project, and you're not apologetic and you're not bored when you're talking about that project to a friend or to a client. The minute you start finding your own stories boring, that means you need to wake up, shake up, take a little break, which I don't take. But I do constantly talk to a lot of people to just keep myself alive and kicking. Gina's writing, thank you to you always. You truly inspire. I love you, Gina, and always there for you. Crazy Rich Asians. Yeah, Natasha, how are you? You've been holidaying and I'm totally jealous. Okay. But it's important. I think what I really like is the fact that you are able to take that break, and I think it is so important. But most of us find it very, very difficult. But yeah, Crazy Rich Asians was a nice film. For me, that was a good TP film where there was a lot of the wedding drama that was shown. I think West has always tried to make some interesting films around wedding, and somehow they show it like a big job. And for us, in contrast, Hindi movies always shows weddings like the entire thing is ironical that it's always about the last Sangeet performance that is shown in our film. And I'm yet waiting. I think besides Band Baja Barat, we've never had a film that shows the prep that goes into making that particular moment alive. But West has always focused on that, because most of the times they've shown that the bride and groom themselves are putting the prep together with their besties. So yeah, but I think it's such a culturally different reality now, that they are self-funded to a great extent, other than the super rich. And over here, largely it is the responsibility of a family to make sure that they save enough to make that happen. With the richy rich, of course, the story remains the same universally, where the big pocket daddies are using this as a great opportunity to make a statement, to get noticed, to get accepted, to belong. And so goes with the kids. It's just that the kids try to pretend like it doesn't matter. And most of the brides that I've seen who say, I don't want it, I don't want it. But from deep within, they want it exactly the way daddy wants it. Just like I said, the shades will change. Their choice on color palette will change. But the fact that they want to get noticed and appreciated, that angle doesn't change at all. It's funny. But I think it's always nice to have celebrations, and I really feel great about the fact that it gives huge opportunities to lakhs and lakhs of people to actually have not just an industry, it is the livelihood, it is the way so many houses are run today, that I feel really, really happy when there are celebrations, and it is a circle of life. If people are not going to do that, there are so many others who are not going to get an opportunity to make themselves famous. It's not going to give an opportunity to so many of them who are earning their livelihood out of it. So all in all, the stigma has gone away over these years. I feel really great about it. You're not looked down upon if you are spending and splurging your money. There's a thank you somewhere coming to you from many, many people. And as long as you do it with respect and dignity, I think that's all that matters to people who are even servicing you. The minute you lose respect is the only time, I think, as a service industry, which we are, no matter how many creative stories I may try to put up, at the end it's a service industry. There's just that much of respect that one expects, because Indians are sincere by nature. There's no one who's intending to destroy your moment. There are a lot of reasons why something may not come around in the right way. So I would just hope that, the sensitive side that we show in our Indian movies is also something that would actually reflect in reality. Especially with younger and younger entrepreneurs coming in, जिनको उतनी समझ नहीं है, or they are learning on the go, which is something I don't enjoy. So for me, TWS has always been about that, lovely space to come, learn, make your mistakes, so that you are not playing with the client's money and emotions, and you're doing your best and making every moment movie-like. So yes, set up higher goals and aspirations, guys. Please use this time. I know there is not much work happening actively. Thoda bahut chal raha hai, but it's not madness. So please use this time in order to take a little break. Use this time in order to improve your skill set. Kuch naya seekho. Use this time to either travel or watch very different shows. Try to watch a movie that you're not comfortable or looking forward to, because you don't know what can lead you where. And do try to make new friends using the various apps, or randomly catching up with an old friend. But I really think conversations are a great way to stay motivated and stay alive. And yeah, most importantly, watch movies, whether it's the OTT or a theater next to you. And for those of you who are going to be joining us for the counseling session, my apologies for tomorrow. I know we're not doing one as weekly was promised, but next Saturday is surely happening, and next Friday as well I'll be here on Insta Live. And our focus is going to be on understanding and exploring this entire space. Next week we are going to be talking about an interesting department that's there in movies, which is scouting, location scouting, and drawing parallels of that with DMC, the destination management companies. So do join us for our live next Friday. I'm going to sign off now. It's tea time and I have some packing to do as well. So thank you so much for joining in, and I give away back to everyone who's here with us, and I'm looking forward. And please do follow us on WOW as well. And for those who are already in the planning space, make sure you're sending your entries and getting your best work showcased out there and making the most of the biggest industry meet that is going to happen in the month of July. Adios for now. This is Marisha signing off on behalf of the entire team at TWS and wishing you a great weekend ahead and happy movie watching. Bye.